Um, Hi everyone, I'm Rishabh. I'm one of the founders of Socket with the first chain abstraction protocol. And today we're going to talk about a mechanism that we proposed a few weeks back, which is MagicSpend++. It and how it's not cross-chain, but real chain abstraction, right? So yeah, let's get into it with our favorite friend, right? It's a scenario that we've all kind of like seen or dealt with like a lot of times. Our friend has wants to basically mint a pudgy penguin, which is on Ethereum, but the the friend has like USDC on spread across three different chains, right? So they have like funds on Optimism and Base and Arbitrum, but they want to really go and buy a pudgy penguin on ETH, right? So what does the friend do, right? So does the friend what would you do if you were in their shoes, right? Like would you just like go to a bridge or a bridge aggregator? You can also kind of like have like this cross-chain zaps within the wallet where they could bridge and then mint the NFT in like one go, or like the user could just like go back to the Web2 paradigm, right? Um, so yeah, let's just see on all of these options, right? How it goes. So the first option is like you just basically redirect them to bridge or a bridge aggregator, right? But the thing is, they basically go to the bridge on for every chain. They basically start bridging, and then they basically bridge gas, and then they figure out all of this. They basically go through like 40 clicks, they go to like so much time, and then go to so much stress to be able to just mint one single NFT from all of these chains, right? Like which is basically insane. Um, or you could kind of like go and do a cross-chain zap, right? But here's the thing about zaps, right? You need all the funds to be on one chain to be able to mint the NFT, right? Otherwise, you can't really do a zap as well. So cross-chain zaps ultimately is nothing but bridging with extra steps, right? So you're again at the same thing that we all started with, right? So yeah, I think like there's this one option, right? Um, but here's the thing, right? Like we wanted to solve this, and um, this is what we really call chain abstraction, right? Where we don't have any bridging. We basically have something like a global aggregated balance, right? So user does not have 200 USDC, 200 and 100. They have just one global balance for 500 USDC. And then they can kind of like mint the NFT or do any action anywhere, right? They don't need to worry about gas or all of these chain nuances. And finally, there's like zero waiting time for the user, right? Like they should wait, literally they should just like sign something and it should be executed on chain for them, right? And that's what we really call a chain abstracted experience, right? And that's what we want to go towards, where users don't have to think about the chains or like kind of like interacting with all of these complexities that come in, right? And that's what we do with MagicSpend, right? So at a very high level, how it really works is when a user wants to mint this NFT, they come to their wallet and they basically just sign a user op, right? Like where they say that, hey, I want to mint a pudgy with my 500 USDC. Under the hood, the USDC is still fragmented on all of these like different chains, right? But they don't really need to see it. They just come in and then sign the user op, right? Now, once they do that, we have like this off-chain agent that can basically come in and then use their own liquidity to really mint the NFT for the user, right? Like, so your user does not need to have funds on that chain, but there can be like this agent that comes in and provides this liquidity and mints the NFT for the user, right? Like, and passes out on back to the user. And now they can go to whatever chain the funds were really on for the user and then claim those funds, right? So essentially what's really happening is as soon as the user signs the user up, the off-chain agent, which could be a paymaster or like a filler or any agent that has some liquidity, comes in, mints the NFT for the user, and then claims the equivalent amount from the user's wallet, right? This is why we basically call the core concept as like spend now, debit later, right? So the transaction that the user wanted to do happened instantly on the spot on whatever chain they wanted to do that. but the money is technically deducted from their wallet after the transaction has been completed, right? And the best part about this is like it basically can just merge into the current paradigm of like account abstraction that we already had, right? So users' wallets on all of these different chains that they had could basically just be stored in like these smart wallets. And these smart wallets to basically guarantee the execution for these off-chain agents can be just like logged with like a small time lock, right? Like to withdraw the funds, right? So basically when a user deposits the funds, they go in the smart contract with a small configurable time lock window. And once the off-chain agents, which basically could be a paymaster in the account abstraction paradigm, completes the transaction, they can have the guarantees that the funds are still there on these smart wallets and can basically claim it there, right? So it's just like one-time deposit for a user as a part of their onboarding flow, but they basically can get to spend these funds at any point in time, at any chain, instantly, right? So just coming back to the main topic, right? Like how is it really different than the cross-chain experiences, right? So far, all these cross-chain experiences built or these bridges built are really push-based, right? So when I say push-based, I mean, think about when you want to do like this cross-chain zap or a bridge, right? You're really starting with like some amount of tokens on one chain and you're pushing them to the other chain and taking like whatever action you want to take basically there, right? When you do this, there are like very different things that really come. It's like a multi-chain UX that you basically deal with, where instead of dealing like a global balance or an aggregated balance, you really start with some amount of tokens on this particular chain that you start with. And then because you push that, you have to wait for those assets to really land up to the chain on the destination. And then you basically that action can be taken, right? With MagicSpend, it's like really pull-based, right? Like where you get this single chain experience. So you have this like global aggregated balance, all your balances combined into one, which we call like the chain abstracted balance in this case. And then you get, very importantly, instant finality and instant execution, right? So as soon as the user signs this transaction or this user op, the transaction they wanted to do is immediately executed for them. There is no waiting for bridging. There's no waiting. There's no delay, right? Like so, and then later on, the funds are really pulled from the user's wallet on whatever chain they held funds, right? Or that's basically where the pull comes in. So yeah, I think MagicSpend is basically already leveraged by Coinbase, right? So we basically are proposing MagicSpend plus plus, but there's something called MagicSpend, which really exists with Coinbase. So if you have funds on, let's say, your Coinbase exchange, you could directly use them on-chain to transact with Base, right? So you can think of Coinbase exchange as just another chain in this paradigm, right? So we're kind of extending the same concept to not just be able to interact with your funds on Coinbase exchange, but from any chain. And there are like multiple wallets, multiple teams, multiple applications who are already building on MagicSpend. So if you guys want to collaborate with us, build with us, we have like this ETH research post, which you can scan and basically go through. And I would love to get all of your feedback and comments on it. So yeah, that's my presentation. I'm happy to take on any questions.